Hey YouTubers, it's Farmstead. I haven't posted an update in a little while, but here's a project that I'm working on. This is the old rusty truck, S10, and we got it used, and currently this center section, this is not the standard factory tire and rim that came with the truck when it was new. These are aftermarket. They're oversized wheels, and the rims had a center section that went here, and this stud that's sticking out here, I had to drill the head off of it because it has rusted in place and you couldn't change the tire if you had to. So I'll show you. Hey kitty. So this is what they looked like, and there's Callie the kitty. Hey kitty, you gonna be on the YouTube too? Okay, good girl. So this is what it looked like to start with, and well, hey, with this section on it, the center section, you can't get to any of the lug nuts to change the tire if you have a flat. So I took an impact hammer, torque wrench essentially, that you hit with a hammer, and it turns every time you hit it to try and break these free. And we managed to break 2 of them free. So 2 of them I had to drill the heads off of, and now I'm going to try and remove these with a simple little trick. I sprayed some penetrating oil in there, and the trick that I'm going to do to remove these, here's one of the old ones. You can see it's very corroded in place. The threads are not bad, but there's corrosion on them. The heads are completely corroded, and the little cross in the Phillips is starting to get destroyed. So we're going to take a couple of these little hex head nuts, and we're going to take a box wrench, and in this case it's a 13mm, and we're going to go thread the nuts onto this leftover stud, and we're going to put 2 of them. And when you put these on, when you go to remove the bolt, you remove the back bolt, and it comes up in contact with the outside, or the one closest to you, and it serves as a head. So if I can get these started, I'm gonna do that, and then I'll come back and show you the progress from there. Okay, I've got the 2 hex head bolts threaded onto this shaft, and as you can see, they're kind of difficult to get started, since the shaft, when the drill bit went through it, has a little hole in it still. It pushed the metal out, so you have some burrs sticking up. You just kind of thread it on there. I've got some extra bolts, some extra nuts, just to make sure that we got enough in case it messes up. So we got the cat, and we have the chicken came to visit. Hey chickens. So it's regular farmstead around here. So let me start trying to back off on this thing, and I'll give you an update. Alright, so what I've done is I've threaded 3 hex head nuts onto the shaft, and you come in 2. I found when I tried to loosen it was not enough, because these are stainless steel. I think this is just plated, the little shaft, so these were actually cutting and cleaning up the threads on the shaft, and when I was just using 2, it would actually turn both of the hex head bolts. I'm sorry, hex head nuts. So what I did was I put a third one on, and we're going to reach in here to this one closest to the inside of the wheel, and we're going to turn it counterclockwise. Give a little sharp little twist, and it'll give you some resistance. And there's not a lot of room to work with in here. Sorry, I'm trying to get a good shot here. There we go. Now it's starting to come out. I think we might be able to do it by hand now. Yeah. And there it is. Wow, that's gummed up. Look at that. That thing's just chewed up. Needless to say, it'll focus on it here. Your bolts are not supposed to have a big giant piece of metal coming off of them like that. So that's why we are going to replace these with new bolts. So that's how I do it. So if you have a stripped out bolt you have to drill out in something like this that you can get to, I stack 3 nuts on it and then start backing off the one that's the furthest inside, and then you turn that with a wrench real slow. These 2 backing nuts won't turn with this rear one, and it'll lock up and it makes a bolt head. Additionally, what you can do is you can, if you have a welder, I didn't want to bring one out here, but you can tighten these down on the stud to all but about a thread, maybe a half a thread, 3/4 of a thread, and then you can just fill this up with weld on the inside, and that'll become the new head on the bolt. And then you just back that out like you would a conventional bolt with a wrench or a socket, or I wouldn't recommend an impact because those will usually shear it off, but penetrating oil works well in these situations. If you have time to soak it, but if not, even if you weld this up and snap it off, you can always just kind of cut the threads down at a bevel and then thread the nut back onto the shaft and then re-weld it and try it that way. If that doesn't work, I have rarely had any problems if I have enough of the bolt to actually do this method. I've always had this work for me, but a lot of times you don't have the luxury of having that much of this threaded portion left over to work with, so you can always do the welding method inside. But I hope that helps. I hope you found this informative. If you did, please like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll have some new content coming out soon. Take care, and as always, do the best you can with what you got.